Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Good evening. Good evening. Man, I'm so excited this evening, and we are back with another banger. And you see what we doing. You seen what it said in the context. This is no longer going to be certain Wednesdays. Mossberg is bringing you the 614 Ben. Shout out to my man Post Game and welcome my man Post Game to this show this evening. And again, man, it's always appreciated. How are you doing this evening post game? And that's part of that 614 Ben, as we gonna call that from these Wednesdays.
Yes, sir, man. I'm feeling marvelous. I feel great. Game one of the NBA Finals tonight. I'm excited. I can't wait to see the matchup. A lot of questions before this matchup starts. How you doing, Mossberg?
Man, I'm feeling pretty good, man. I'm thankful. And when we come here on these Wednesdays, man, when people that's just now tuning in, it's calling I'm calling it the 614 band because myself being here in Columbus. Shout out to my man Post Game over in the South Bend, in another part of the Midwest, Bend and Air. That's what it's called the Bend for. That's that bend part of the 614 band, which we gonna now bring you on these Wednesdays, and we still have conversations with Mossberg, but I'll bring you some great news and we'll talk about that before we close the show. But we are here tonight post game and we talking NBA Finals game 1. We got the New York Knicks, the whole city, the whole state, the whole world almost it feel like behind them against the San Antonio Spurs. Victor Wembanyama, what's your thoughts on game 1? We not gonna be here too long, but we gonna be here long enough to give them a great scoop on this great game we have tonight in this NBA Final Series. What's your thoughts on game 1?
Well, I mean, I'm really looking forward to the series, man. I think a lot of people are counting the New York Knicks out, and I think that's a huge mistake. One of the things I'm looking at, Moss, is this: does the battle? I'm getting a lot of feedback in my headphones. Does the battle was the 7 game battle? I can't. Okay, there we go. Was the 7 game battle? Did it take a huge toll on the San Antonio Spurs? Because that was a grueling battle they just had with OKC. How is that going to affect the Spurs in the NBA championship? On the other hand, you got the New York Knicks, right? They've had a layoff. They've been waiting for the victor of the Western Conference Finals is here. Does that does that affect the New York Knicks in any kind of way? That's what I'm looking at because these are teams that haven't been to the NBA Finals before. Moss, the majority of their players, the majority of their roster, and sometimes experience is the best teacher. Sometimes it's not, but sometimes it is. So I'm when it comes to game one, I'm interested to see those things and if they play a factor in any of the teams.
I agree with you. For myself, I'm looking at the same thing. I'm definitely looking at how this San Antonio Spurs team, they've grew through this Western Conference. They've dethroned the champs, not only the NBA champs, but the champs out west. And then you got this New York team that's then swept the Philadelphia 76ers, and they just put another broom to a whole nother Cavs team in which people had winning, myself included. So when you think about this matchup, I think it's so many questions to be answered. Like you said, players in their first NBA Finals. How long is it going to take for the jitters to come out in that first quarter? Even though San Antonio's at home, New York, do they still have that momentum? And I think you're going to see Fat Joe. Shout out to Fat Joe and Jada Kiss, man. Spike Lee. I love those guys and what they've been doing throughout this playoff run for New York because I think when you have that kind of support, I think it pushes you not as a team, not as just a player, but as a fan base to go out and support as well. So I think the adjustments is going to be settling down, you know, being yourself, understanding the moment, but then who's going to shine within these moments as well. So I'm looking forward to Victor Wembanyama. He's been having great game one performances so far. So on his first playoff run, which we've seen for dominance and pure double double, I'm definitely looking forward to what he do, as well as that Jalen Brunson takeover. And we know how that could be and how that can get. We appreciate everyone tuning in this evening as well as we see you coming in with the comments. Make sure you leave your thoughts on game one. We got a poll out there on some of the platforms we got on our social side. So make sure you leave some comments, thoughts on this game one, and as well as this final series, because I think this is going to be one of the best ones in a while. What's your thoughts on that? Being this final series with the New York Knicks and the San Antonio Spurs post game? Is this going to be one that we remember? Because I think when you think about it, Brunson, Wembenyama, so far they've left us with a great playoff run. So what do you think when it comes to those thoughts as well?
Yeah, I definitely think we're in for a treat when it comes to the Knicks and Spurs. Again, I'll say it again. I think people are prematurely counting the Knicks out. Uh, so yeah, I think we're in for a good series, man. Wembanyama has been a very popular player. We'll see if it's his turn yet. A lot of times, what you see with these superstars is that they gotta take their whooping before they actually get to the make it to the finals and actually win. We've seen that with a young Shaq going to the finals when he was extremely young, being that next guy up in the NBA and getting slaughtered by the Houston Rockets. It'd
Yes,
be
sir.
interesting to go back and see who was favored in that game, in that series before it started. But I mean,
Yeah.
or are they gonna do something historical I believe the youngest team since the '70s to win an NBA championship. So it's interesting,
Yeah.
man.
Yeah. Some great points you make in that. And when you talk about all of those key factors, being one of the youngest teams, and having that will to win and going through those tough losses to get to where they at. For me and watching this Knicks teams, I had, my opinions on other teams getting past New York. Shout out to New York, man. You've made me not just a believer, but it wasn't that I wasn't a believer. I just picked other teams. But seeing you on this run, I give you much respect. I give you more respect than a person that's just walking around picking the New York Knicks that's not even a fan. The reason why is watching you over these years, as Post just said, getting through this East this year, you had to do things that some people think you couldn't do. Brunson proving himself. Mitchell Robinson. You got Josh Hart. You got Michael Bridges, who's had a coming out party in this playoff series that we've seen the last two, as well as the first one against the Hawks, but his whole playoff performance. So, as we see, what are some of the keys in this series for the Knicks? You could think offensively, you could think defensively. What are some of the keys? And we see the comments rolling in this evening, and we appreciate you, Mr. Manzano, coming in, as well as Renee out. Is it Akala and at six, Yasim Dream, and as well as Petrified Candy. We appreciate you all coming in. And FW, we will get to your questions as well as Anthony Manzano. But as we talking before we get to those questions, what are the keys you think for the Knicks in this series?
I think the keys for the Knicks, they're gonna have to be physical. They're gonna have to get production from Carl Anthony Towns, be that at the post or just knocking down 3 pointers. If he doesn't have Wimby in the post, scoring and being physical on him, he's gonna have to knock down shots as well. Maybe that brings Wimby out further from the lane, which gives Brunson more room to operate. So they're going to have to be physical. They're going to have to play their style of basketball, exert their will over the Spurs. which won't be, none of these things will be easy, but I think they have to do it in order to get a victory, get an NBA championship. Brunson has to remain being a dude. He has to be, he has to get everybody involved, and he has to ultimately close games. So I think those are some of the keys for the Knicks if they want to be victorious.
I totally agree with you. My bad about the delay. For me, almost right back to what you're saying, comes to what those guys need in this. When you speak of Jalen Brunson continuing to do what he's doing, Michael Bridges to continue to perform as he's performing, but also in a newbie, been a big difference maker as far as in for the Knicks this playoff series, him being back as well as him being healthy. I think that's been one of the biggest difference makers for myself. I do apologize for those technical difficulties as well for those viewers watching as well. So for me, when you think about those key factors, Josh Hart, will you be able to hit that 3-point shot? Will you be able to knock down shots in this series? Not that he's haven't had a great playoff series within itself. Because when you think about Josh Hart, he's getting over double figures at 11, 12 points a game, almost 9 rebounds, 5, 6 assists a game. That's not a bad playoff average when you're talking about a player as in Josh Hart, knowing what he brings to the table with his energy. So for me, I'm looking at just those exact things, but seeing what Hart does on the perimeter myself. And if Mitchell Robinson can come away from this little bit of a nag of an injury, that's going to be something that I look at, for keys in the series. I think Josh Hart and Mitchell Robinson's success plays a big part in New York getting their first NBA finals since what, 70, 73. So I think that's one of the biggest keys for me. And the first question we're going to get to, we appreciate you tuning in this evening as well, Mr. Manzano. He said, question for both of you. Do you believe New York is going to have to resort to doing hack a Shack on Victor, knowing that Victor is not necessarily great at the free throw line? What's your thoughts on this one from Mr. Manzano as I'm bringing that up on the stage? Will they do a hacker Wemby as we seen the hacker Shaq back in the day? What's your thoughts?
I don't think so. I think Wemby is a far better free throw shooter than Shaq ever dreamed of being. I think he's at 81%, if I'm not mistaken. Wemby can definitely knock him down. I don't think you hack a Shaq Wemby. Uh, I mean, that would just be a terrible strategy. Now, if he was shooting free throws like Shaq, then we can talk. But I don't think this is a player you can really expose like that as far as free throw shooting. So I don't think they will deploy that strategy.
There's no way you could do this. I think Wemby, watching him, I understand he have his times at the free throw line, but I think if you really look in the key moments when they do need them free throws, Wemby's gonna hit them free throws. I think you dealing with something you don't want to deal with. Free throws get you cooking. Free throws get them started. That's what I was told as a shooter. So I think if you give Wemby time to get at that line to get comfortable, you're giving him time to go in that bag. And we know what he could do. We've seen him shoot the ball, Curry like range consistently at times throughout this season. But in these playoffs, he's been a long range bomber. So I think they have to be careful when you're talking about a hacker Wemby or just knowing you're gonna foul someone on their team. I don't think you can do that. San Antonio, we know in history, they're one of the best teams historically when it comes to shooting free throws as a team in the playoffs. So I don't think that's something you could do when it comes to this San Antonio Spurs team. And again, we appreciate everyone tuning in this evening. We're not going to be here long, but we're going to come here long enough to give you our thoughts on this great game one series. between the San Antonio Spurs and the New York Knicks, a la Knickerbockers as well. And we're gonna slide over to San Antonio side, Post. What's your thoughts on the keys for San Antonio in this series? Seeing what they've been able to do, overcoming, will they be put in a situation where they have to overcome more than just a deficit and not just a series deficit, but an in-game deficit at home to jump back and get a big game one win tonight? Or are those some of the things we're gonna have to look at? What adjustments? What's your thoughts on this one?
I think for the Spurs to be successful in this series, the guards got to make shots. The the uh the guards for San Antonio have to make shots for sure.
Oh yeah.
Uh
Yes.
I think Wemby is gonna be Wemby. I think he's gonna average a double double. Hopefully they can contain him because you can't stop him. But if you can keep him, having to work for his shots, work for his offense, not giving him easy looks, things like that. When you talk about containing a great player like Wemby, who he's probably the best player in the NBA right now, in my opinion. And I knew it was coming. I didn't know it would come this soon. But I mean, the guards have to make shots. They got to harass Brunson on the defensive side of the ball. They got to make all his shots difficult. And Wemby has to stay out of foul trouble. That's for sure, because the plus. If you pay attention to plus minus, they need Wemby on the floor as much as possible. So they got to keep that man out of foul trouble, and I think that's going to be a major key of the game. Coaching is going to have an impact in this series as well, man. You got Mike Brown going against the Spurs coach, so I'm interested to see how that matchup plays out. But the guards have to make shots. Keldon Johnson has to be a dude off the bench, and they got to harass Brunson. And because I really feel like if New York's others aren't making plays, they got to be careful, because if that's the case, the Spurs can make easy work of the Knicks. I don't think it's going to play out like that, but that's definitely in the cards.
That's that's man, just thinking about what the Spurs keys are in this series. And we appreciate Amber Murray 2496, and we appreciate Luis Alvarez. I've heard the Greg Oden many a times. You should go check out that conversation that he just had, one of his one-on-one conversations on the Pivot Podcast. Shout out to the Pivot Podcast. I watched that. It was a great interview and one-on-one with Greg Oden. So make sure you go tap into that as well. Alvarez as well. And like Amber Murray said, we just said that Wemby is way too good of a shooter, and we appreciate that comment coming in. And she said Wemby is way too good of a free throw shooter to play hack of Wemby. Give him 2 shots, and he will make 1.6 to 1.7 per trip to the line. You are better trying to get him to shoot mid range or threes, because that's just going to give him a rhythm. And as a shooter that Wemby is, and the size, that'll just make that bucket bigger if he continues to hit those free throws, going to that free throw line. He'll get that sit down, that pep talk, that little humble thing that he does. We know what he do, and he'll get himself right at that free throw line. So for me, I think that the keys for San Antonio be who they have been and be even better. The thing is, Post, we haven't seen San Antonio go crazy hitting shots consistently in this playoffs like we've seen every other team. So if San Antonio goes on one of those runs, and I'm not talking about in a 1 game spurt, I'm talking about a 2 to 3 game spurt, they could really stronghold, like you said, they could put a hold on this series real fast. But my thing is they got to play tough defensively. They have to rebound the ball. When Wemby's away from the rim, Wemby can't be the only factor when they get to the bucket. Luke Cornett has been playing great basketball, as we've seen his block in Game 7 be one of the biggest game changing points in that game against OKC. So I would say play strong inside when Wemby's on the perimeter, continue to swing that ball and stay consistent, be physical, and be even more physical, because that's one thing I think that continues to hurt other teams is San Antonio's physical nature. And you're seeing it from some of their young superstars. And that's the thing that could be scary for any team. And now that puts them in the finals. So for me, I think those just are some of the keys, and definitely hitting free throws at the end of the game and throughout the game. And if they can do that, I think, we could possibly, if both teams are doing those things that we spoke on, we could see another 7-game series in the NBA Finals that's talked about for years. Those are just some of the thoughts when it comes to me. Anything else you think when we talking about this? The keys on both sides of the ball, even any matchups. I have a few down myself. Any matchups you think about?
Yeah, I'm interested to see Brunson against the many guards that the San Antonio Spurs can throw at him, make life difficult for Brunson on the offensive end. Um, but I gotta caution some people, man. I don't think I think the Spurs did a good job on SGA, even though he still got his. I think it's different guarding Brunson. Why? Because he's smaller, but he's like thick. You feel me? Like he's short. He's short centered to the ground, but he's extremely strong, and he'll have the leverage in most of those matchups. So I would advise anyone to think that the Spurs are gonna just come in and lock up and harass Brunson. I think he's gonna make it difficult for them to do that.
Yeah, I agree. And we got one of the guys, one of the homies. I'm gonna call him Natty Champ because he's coming off that Go Blue victory in that NCAA basketball tournament. That's our main man, Parlay Poe, in the building. We appreciate you tuning in this evening. Give us some of your thoughts and some of your takes in the comments. What are your keys to victory on both sides of the ball? Going to the New York side, going to the San Antonio side, if you can, Parlay Poe. And make sure you go follow that channel, Parlay Poe Blissberg. He's on YouTube as well, as you see the rest of the team scrolling alongside that bottom. Go like and subscribe. And if you're tuning in, make sure you like and subscribe as well when it comes to these guys every time you see us on this network and on this channel. And for me, watching, like you said, the defense that they played on SGA, I think it was swept under the rug at how great of a job they did defensively. For me, watching how they played him defensively, if you go look at his field goal percentage throughout that series, when they went on their championship run, his field goal percentage, my opinion, I think it was better. And I know it was better just watching the performances in the game and watching his frustration throughout that series with the San Antonio Spurs. So for me, seeing how they matched up, different guys jumping on him. You had Dylan Harper, you had De'Aaron Fox, you had Carter Bryant, who someone has gotten his bag and said, let's get this defense like it brought you into the league and some. So for me, I think watching the San Antonio Spurs team, if they can play defense against Brunson as a committee, give him different looks throughout the game, throughout the series, I think that'll be something that we also look at later in this series, later down the road in this series, outside of this first game. That's something I definitely want to see what goes on as well. We got a comment coming in from Parlay Power. He said, mark my words, Bridges is the key for the Knicks. Spurs bench is key. And he corrected himself in the next comment, spelling that Bridges the correct way. And we appreciate that. What's your thoughts on those comments, Post? Bridges
All
being the
facts.
key in that
All
Spurs
facts.
bench. Yeah,
All facts.
yeah, totally agree. And
Hey,
any other key players?
I don't mean to
No, go
cut
ahead.
you
I'm
off,
sorry.
bro. But Luis Alvarez just had a hell of a question, bro.
Oh, I didn't see it. Will do, sir. Appreciate that as well, Lewis. He said all-time draft is Wemby a top 10 pick. Wow. That is a great question. Wow. Man, we gonna come up with a show. Won't you check out Mr. Alvarez? How about this? Check out WTPSportsDudes.com. We're gonna get to this because I'm about to take it to post. Check out WTPSports.com website. Give us some information of yours. Leave that with our CEO, Mr. Brown, WTP for life, and we're gonna definitely get a show going for that because you just had me thinking about something with that. What's your thoughts on that one, Post? I like that question, and it's a great question as well.
I mean, I can't go top 10 yet. He wins a championship, then we can talk. But right now, top 10 all time? I can't do that right now.
That mean he going over Shaquille O'Neal or the old school top 10 is heavy. That's gonna make me do a top 10 all time draft show coming soon from the 614 Ben. You heard it here first. That would be tough. Like you said, he would have to go out in these NBA finals starting tonight, have a dominant performance of a 45 or 50 and 20, and continue to drop 35 or more every game after that. San Antonio win in the 7 game series or even gentleman's sweep, or if they swept and he's averaging something diabolical like that. We could come back and revisit these thoughts on that. And Parlay Post said, he said, not old school. He is not. Definitely not the old school rules. Anything else on that one, Post? Any other thoughts you had? Just thinking about the matchups you got. Jalen Brunson, De'Aaron Fox, possibly. You got Jalen Brunson versus Castle. Got Jalen Brunson versus Vassell. I think they're going to throw every possible player, but I think Carter Bryant is going to be assigned to him every second of the game that he's in the game. And I think they're going to put Bridges on Wembenyama. Everybody knows Ananobi's defense, but I think they're going to put Bridges on him possibly at times. Maybe. I don't know. What's your thoughts?
That would be a huge mistake on the Knicks' part. Uh, why would you like maybe on the perimeter, maybe, but like stick Wimby for 4, 5, 6 minutes? Absolutely not. He gonna slaughter them on the boards, offensive and defensively.
One of the one things Knicks and the Spurs played in the NBA Cup. We know the Knicks got to win. We know the Knicks won the cup, the NBA Cup, the NBA Finals. What's the difference between a cup and a finals? Post. I didn't think about that until now. Saying a cup and a finals. Is the finals more than a cup, or is it a different time in the season? More so to where this means something, and you really got to look at the whole, season. Look out of both teams.
I've always been a guy who went by, the regular season and the playoffs are totally different seasons. That's just my opinion. The cup victory against the Spurs for the Knicks was a great victory, and they won the cup. You gotta give it to them, but it plays no part in the NBA Finals, in my opinion. Uh, the two deserving teams, as I said earlier, but I wouldn't put any weight on the cup victory for the Knicks.
One player, when you think about this series, because I know we getting closer to game time, and I'm gonna let everyone get their pregame. I told you we was gonna come in. We wasn't gonna be too long, but we was gonna be long enough to give you a dose and a splash of our thoughts on this game. But I couldn't come on this evening and talk about game one without talking about this guy, Luke Cornett. journeyman for the San Antonio Spurs. Post, this is something nobody really looked at and thought about. You know, he spent his time out east and he came out west, got a little more physical, got with his great organization, nothing against the others that he played with. This is the East, and then this is the West he came to. They said it's wild out there. He found himself in the wild, wild West. Now playing for an NBA Finals. What's your thought on the addition of a guy like Cornette, being that man next to Wemby, who's bigger than life? What's your thoughts on Harper? I think these two guys, when you think about this San Antonio Spurs run that they've been on in this West, they call it wild. But to dethrone the champs, you think of Luke Cornette, you think of Dylan Harper. What's your thoughts on those guys coming this way? And as well as that championship experience. Great one, Parlay Poe. Yes, sir, he does.
Yeah, I totally forgot Cornette had a ring. I'm gonna keep it funky, but listen, man. Cornette had a huge block in that game 7. That I thought that was a critical play in that
Yeah.
game. That block he made for the Spurs. But this bro, I don't believe the Spurs are here. If and I know attrition is a thing when you talk about professional sports. But I mean I think OKC is in the finals. If OKC and if was a fifth, we'd all be drunk, right? But I mean, I'm
Man,
not taking nothing from the Spurs. They won. They got the job done. Salute to them. But I'm just thinking, like, if J Dub and AJ are healthy, it already went 7. I don't know, bro.
man.
I think everybody writing, like not everybody, but some people are writing OKC off. And if they healthy, I'm like run it back. You know,
Yeah.
I think Shet has to overcome the Wimby matchup, but outside of that, man, all they need is some health, and I think OKC is right back in the thick of things.
Yeah. I think it would have definitely been a different series, for sure. And, we're gonna bring it right here and just thinking about this game, before we head out of here soon. And we appreciate you being here with us this evening, Parlay Poe. As I call you, Natty Champ, Go Blue. He said Barnes and Cornette championship pedigrees. And when you speaking of Barnes, Harrison, that's another player I think when you speak on this series, if he shows up, this series could be something special when you think of the 7 games when it comes to players showing up in the series, players just playing their part. And when you have two players, you think of their positions and how much they bring to the table, not with just their championship experience, but their defensive prowess, their IQ. There's so many things that Barnes and Cornette bring to the table. That's championship caliber, so 62 win historical season for these Spurs. It's been a decade and a few since they got on one. We talking about they didn't dethrone the champs. I think New York coming in 4-2 win on the series, and the last 2 sweeps, they coming in at a staggering 16-2, and they standing up against anybody. I think it's New York versus everybody. And I might be part of that everybody, even though I'm taking the Spurs to win this series because I'm taking the Spurs. I'm part of that everybody, but no disrespect. I think we just gonna be in for something special when you think about the Brunson takeover, the Wimby effect, all the supporting cast on both sides. Shout out to Dylan Harper, man. I love watching this young kid play post. What's your thoughts on just anything? I'm getting anxious for this game 1 as we wind down and get closer to tip off this evening. Thoughts on the game? Type them in the comment. Whoever you got winning, what's your thoughts on this series? Make sure you leave it in the comment. Just Sean B, we appreciate you tuning in. Is that SEC Sean or just Sean B? We appreciate you tuning in this evening. But go ahead, Post. What's your thoughts?
I had to think about this because I mean, for me, it was tough when I thought about these teams and what they could potentially do in the NBA championship round. I'm taking the Knicks in 6. I said this on the Sunday stream when I was asked who I got winning the championship. I have the Knicks. I just think, and again, I said this at the beginning of the stream. Um, the hard fought Western Conference Finals, does that have any effect on the Spurs tonight? We shall see. The lone layoff, waiting to get an opponent for the championship for the Knicks. How does that affect the Knicks? We shall see. So I'm taking the Knicks in this matchup. A lot of people are taking the Spurs, and I understand why, but I just think it's the Knicks' year this year, and they're going to find a way to get it done.
I can't disagree with anything you said, man. Respectively, man, you know you my guy, man. But I'm coming to San Antonio. I'm trying to go down there to Texas, man. You know, I'm trying to see what it's like, man. I'm going with the Spurs, man. I'm taking the Spurs. I'm gonna take the Spurs in 6. I want to take the Spurs in 5, but that I feel like I'm disrespecting the Knicks, man. Honestly, um, I just think that I'm gonna say Spurs in 7. I feel like I'm disrespecting the Knicks, not even if I give them 2 wins, knowing the type of team they are. They just swept 2 teams who we felt could be in the Eastern Conference Finals and the NBA Finals playing against any team in the West. Every team they beat outside of the Hawks. So we got to respect this Knicks team. I'm going to take the Spurs in 7. This is going to be something special, man. Knicks going to come out, like you said, hungry to run. They could be coming out running up and down that court like a Maserati. And I'm not talking about Marvin Harrison. I'm just talking about a speedy car that's hungry to get out on that road and do what it do. But outside of that, I just think this is going to be a great series. I think this is going to be probably one of the better series we've seen in a long time. I don't think it's going to be one sided. I think the stars are going to come out not only and show their faces in New York and San Antonio, but I think in these finals as well. I think a star, the future of the NBA, will show themselves in this NBA final series. The passing of the torch post, I think we seeing it right before our eyes.
I'm not mad at it. I mean, I think the Knicks are going to win, but I definitely would not be surprised at the least if the Spurs won. Parlay Poe had a interesting comment. He said, "Post can Chet overcome Wimby experience? Wimby here to stay." I now see this is my question, Poe. Do you remember when Kobe had Pau Gasol and Pau Gasol wasn't really tough, tough enough to win a championship with? Kobe
Mhm.
instilled that toughness into Pau, and Pau got better. He was better for what Kobe did to him. Do the Thunder have a player on their team who can instill that toughness in the Shet? So, like you said, Wimby
Mm.
here to stay. I'm wondering if they're thinking about trading. I wouldn't trade him, but if you telling me Milwaukee is saying we'll give you Giannis, you just got to give us Shet. I don't know if I can turn that down.
Man, I'm running. I'm going and I'm packing up shit myself. No disrespect, Mr. Holgram, but I'm packing you up and I'm gonna fly you out on my own ticket if I'm the GM if they offer me that. Because you can't pass up Giannis, Shy. That'll be something special to see. But Wimby is definitely here to stay. I think he just showed you got to come with it out west. You can't come with no low baby feet. You can't come half stepping. You got to come correct. Because I think what we seeing right now is Wemby is possibly the passing of the torch. Because if San Antonio win this NBA championship and Bron go on a farewell tour next season post, we could be looking at the passing of the torch, and it will be. Is this LeBron's final season? Is this the farewell tour? And will we be watching Wemby go into them footsteps, possibly take the Spurs to a back? Who knows what the headlines will be at that time, Post? I know we waiting for it. Any thoughts? Because this is getting juicy, but I know the game one is about to come on.
Man, Poe Cooking in the comments, he says Shet and
Yeah, he
Williams
took
for
it.
Greek. Bro, I can't give them
Ooh,
both. I can't give them both of them. I the Oklahoma City Thunder is working with so much draft capital that I can only give you one of those guys, and I got picks for days. But Shet and Williams,
man.
bro, I don't want to give up Williams, man. Like that dude, we seen what he did when he was fully healthy. J Dub is
Yeah,
awesome. So if it's me, Poe, bruh, I want Greek, but I'm gonna play with them draft picks before I give up Williams. I gotta keep one of those. What you think, Moss?
if if they gonna make the call right now, Post. If I get a call right now, you put Shet and Williams. I don't care if it's throwback Roy Williams, and we ain't talking basketball. We talking about football at that time. And you know how much of a star he was. I'm getting that Greek freak, and we gonna sit down. We gonna have a Euro, the Greek way, however he wanted, and
But bro,
OKC. I gotta
but
make it
why?
happen, man. I gotta
But
bring
why? Why?
the reason, the reason I would do it is because we got a McCain who slowly but surely was an eye popper, but I seen some things that he could have worked on. But I think when you bring a Giannis, I think that's going to push others that didn't step up that can combine and get a combined Williams effort throughout when you're looking for those support and those bench players, possibly some cash involved, possibly some picks involved in this. I don't
Bro,
think it could possibly be Shet and Williams just for Greek. I think somebody they're gonna have to give a pick with Greek
bro,
to get Shet and Williams.
you
But I
don't
think I would do it.
you don't have to. Why? They working with so many draft picks. You don't have to do this.
Yeah,
That's my point. I give you Shet and 2 first rounders, a future second rounder, and another first rounder down the line. Milwaukee is
okay.
trying to rebuild. Why would they say
Yeah,
no to that? They already got a great
yeah,
player, whether you choose to give up Shet or Williams in the trade. They already got a nice piece to start their rebuild around. Why would I
yeah.
give them both when I can keep one and give them some draft picks that I'll to be honest with OKC's depth, they really don't need the picks.
Yeah, and that's what I was looking at. Like, it's this gonna be something we gonna be in the text heavy about this because right now, like, I wanna say yeah, and it's like it's just the Greek is hard to pass up on, but we gonna have to go back. We gonna definitely look at it. I'm gonna look at all the picks on both sides. I just think it's something. It's a great question as well. Parlay Poe. Make sure you
No,
go follow our man. Go ahead, go ahead. You good?
I'm getting Greek. There's no doubt about it. When that phone ring, when I hang up, Greek is coming. But
Greek is coming.
I just don't think I got to give up both of those players for him.
Yeah. So okay, I see what you mean. I see what you mean. I don't think they had to basically they could throw in a couple picks and they could still keep Williams and still have Greek and get they could really make trades for other guys and keep Williams overall just in general. Make like a
Bro,
three, I think it's a blockbuster trade that's bound to happen here very soon. And I think it's gonna be sooner than we think.
hey, with all the
Ooh.
picks they got, I don't see why not.
OKC make a move to land Greek and Jalen Brown. Shout out to Parlay Poe of the Blitzburg podcast. Make sure you go follow that channel. You like, you subscribe to that. Put your notifications on, not just on the Blitzburg podcast channel, but all the channels you see scrolling at the bottom at Post Game 86. That's Post Game Sports you see with me on the 614 Ben. You got City League TV down there. You got One Take Zay. You got SEC Sean, the man that put us all together. WTP Sports Dudes. His is at WTP for life. The man himself. We call him We got a man that's the great almanac. He said you got to add an NWO, which is a W to that no because of the knowledge and so much that he has. Shout out to the retirement that he just had as he ended the school year as well on 35 plus years of great service, not just in the school building, but in the community, throughout the city and throughout the state. And when I say state, I mean a plural on the end because if you know him here in the C bus, trust me, you know him anywhere across the world that he's been, man. He's greatly a great guy, an uncle, like a father. It's game time, ladies and gentlemen. Any other thoughts post before we get out of here? You know, I could talk and do this all night. I could do a live show of the NBA Finals, and make sure you get with me and we have you locked in for that NBA Finals live stream as well. You know who you are. Any other thoughts before we get out of here? In this game one, who you think winning game one before we go?
Man, game one is tough because I can see San Antonio winning, and then the Knicks taking game two. I can see the effects of being in a lone series against OKC maybe hurting the Spurs a little bit, and the Knicks taking advantage of that. So many different ways. I think the Knicks win game one.
Ooh, I'm gonna double back, but I'm gonna go Wemby. And for y'all out there, no this discernment, no disagreement. Don't follow Mossberg when it comes to what I'm about to say. But FanDuel Zay, I mean, one take Zay, appreciate you tuning in. He said game time, let's go. We coming, but I got a parlay for you. Katie Winter, we appreciate you tuning in. Make sure you like and subscribe. I said the same thing. Spurs is 7. So Mossberg is going with the Spurs tonight. Spurs game one, Wemby, 25 points, 12 rebounds, 2 blocks. First quarter, give me Wemby for 6 points, 4 rebounds, 1 block. Make sure you like and subscribe. All the channels, these guys. Man, we about to get out of here because game one is going to be special. I can't wait to tune in post game. I appreciate you bending the air from South Bend, tuning in, being here with your boy Mossberg, man. You know what we do, man. We always dropping bangers. And can you shut it down tonight? I'm going to ask you to close out the stream for us tonight on that 614 Ben.
Yes, sir. I appreciate it like always, my brother. Go ahead and hit that like button if you haven't liked already. Subscribe to the channel. It don't matter which channel you watching this on. Make sure you subscribe. You won't be disappointed. This is the future of sports talk on YouTube. So get in
Yes,
early.
sir.
We thank y'all
Yes,
for
sir.
watching. And as we exit tonight, peace out.
Peace. We out. Appreciate y'all tuning in there.